Welcome to The Way Home with Laura Smith, the show that brings you wonderful guests, helpful advice, and uplifting stories. The Way Home. Live inspired. Here's your host, Laura Smith.
Well, it's so good to be with you today, and I am absolutely sure and hopeful that you're going to get something very inspirational out of the talk that we have today with our main guest, Monica Boyer. She is a certified ketogenic lifestyle coach and also a licensed food addiction recovery coach. I myself am on a journey right now of weight loss. I work with a company called My PhD Weight Loss, and I have started this journey towards losing 60 pounds. But not only that, changing my lifestyle so that this is something that lasts forever. It's not just a one-time thing. And Monica Boyer, her compelling personal story that led her to losing 120 pounds and gaining her life, her health, a brand new career path, and a spiritual connection with God that she attributes to a full healing and has lasted for the last 7 years, and she knows it will for the rest of her life. It's truly an inspiring story for anybody who is also on this journey, and I know that I got so much from it as well. So grateful to her for being here. We also have, we're going to be talking about a product that maybe you remember from your childhood. You remember when you would go outside in the summer and your mom would spray something all over you and it was kind of sticky? Well, it was called Off, and Off still exists. In fact, not only that, but they've changed the formula so that it suits the person of today. An Off clean feel is, we're going to talk about that and how it's going to make your summer evenings. Well, let's just say you'll be able to watch the sunset without getting eaten alive. All right. And then, of course, we've got good news with Jim Cleefield at the end. As we do, he is our guru of good news. When we come back, Monica Boyer is going to give her incredibly inspiring story of weight loss, which has become more of a lifestyle and a way to live healthy for the rest of forever. And hopefully it will inspire you too. This is The Way Home. I'm Laura Smith. We'll be right back.
Hi, here's a minute of purpose, improving your life 60 seconds at a time. Meditation is a proven way to reduce stress and improve your daily life. But a lot of us can't do the traditional sitting still thing. So here are some alternatives that will provide the same kind of peaceful state. Crafts like knitting or crochet can clear your mind. Studies show that the repetitive motions are akin to the benefits you experience in yoga. Mindful walking is another alternative form of meditation. Simply focus on each step you take and how you breathe. You can achieve mindfulness and get your exercise. You can even reach a meditative state while doing household chores. As you vacuum the floor or wash the dishes, keep your attention focused on what you're doing. So, if traditional meditation techniques aren't for you, try these other ways to a more peaceful state of mind. This has been your Minute of Purpose. Find more now at nowwithpurpose.com.
Welcome back. You're listening to The Way Home with Laura Smith. Here's Laura.
Well, I'm happy to report that, and many of you who have heard me on 95.3 MNC know that I have been finally embarked on a weight loss journey with My PhD Weight Loss, and it has been successful so far. I have to say that getting to the point of actually starting it was the hardest part. And it just, there is so much that goes on in one's mind and spirit and heart and soul, you know, when they know they need to take a journey that really strives to be a fully committed journey. And it's not always easy, but once you do, and when you have the support, and there's all different ways out there of losing weight, and people lose weight for all different reasons. I'd like to talk to someone today that I actually got to see speak a few weeks ago, and I was so inspired by her story. And actually, it was the day after I began my weight loss journey, and I felt like God just kind of dropped her into my life. And knowing I went to this fashion show of all things at a big, huge church here close to where I live, and she was the main speaker. And I was so inspired by her, but I almost felt like it was a gift that God was saying, listen, you can do this, you're going to do this, and here's someone who is going to shine some light on how that works, because she's been there and she's done it. Monica Boyer is a certified ketogenic lifestyle coach. She's lost over 120 pounds naturally on her diet and her program. And also she is a licensed food addiction recovery coach. All of these, an important part of her story, which I found so compelling. Monica, thank you so much for joining us today on the way home. I'm very grateful to have you here.
Thank you so much, Laura. It's so good to be here. And can I just tell you, congratulations on your first day. Like you said, that is the most important day of your life. And no matter how we lose the weight, I just want to pour life into you today and say that you made the best decision that you could ever possibly do. And I want to be your biggest cheerleader and encourage you every moment of this journey to remember your why, because that's what's going to get you through the finish line. So congratulations on your journey.
Oh, thank you so much. It was a long time coming, and I will confess to having starting and stopping these types of things for many years. It's only been in the last 4, though, when I moved to Indiana from New York. I was in New York for 40 years, and moving here, and my lifestyle was different here. The food choices are different here. The eating times are different here. There's just a lot, and I'm not going to blame anything but myself. And it was also this time in my life. Also, the weight just didn't come off like it did when I started in radio, and when I wanted to lose 5 pounds right away, I would have a couple of slim fasts, and voila, I'd be back in my bikini. So, those days are kind of like in the past right now. So yes, it is important, but there are so many people listening right now that I'm sure are going through that same struggle or that same thought process of, I know I need to do this for so many reasons. I just haven't made the full commitment yet. So your story just totally, we were all crying there. We were all like sniffing, and I needed tissues, and it was just such a beautiful story. Would you mind telling it for our audience here, kind of how the whole thing started for you? It's just a beautiful thing.
Yes. And I'm so glad that something good came out of that evening. I was so nervous to speak. Those were my people, and I was so nervous. My microphone was shaking, and so you encouraged me by telling me that it was okay.
Oh, it was superb. It was more than okay. So
thank you so much. Well, my story began in 2017. Or it started there. My journey started June 12th, 2017, when I was sitting across the table with my son, Tony, who had just gotten engaged to his fiance, and he wanted to go to Cedar Point with us. And what mom isn't thrilled that their adult kid wants to hang out with them? But at that moment, my whole entire world froze, because I knew the truth of what I was going to have to say to him. Now, what I said to him first was a big lie, that we couldn't afford to go. And I wanted to get away with telling him, I'm sorry, Tony, we can't afford it. But the fact of the matter is I was too big for the rides. I was over 250 pounds. I was stroke level blood pressure. I was pre-diabetic, and I was to the point where I was starting to get the floaters in my eyes. And I was a very, very sick woman. But I didn't want to go. A whole movie played out in my mind, and I didn't know if this was ever even possible or not, but a whole movie played out in my mind of me going through all of those little line curves and the mazes, and me getting up to the front and having a little high schooler say, I'm sorry, ma'am, but you can't fit on the ride. And that played out in my mind at the moment. And I said, I'm sorry, Tony, but that was my enough moment. And if you don't hear anything that I say today, please hear this. You need an enough moment. You have got to have that moment where there's nothing in the world that can stop you from getting and grabbing hope. And so that was my moment that I started my journey. And in 2017, I lost 120 pounds. I've kept it off for the past 7 years. And in my practice today, I tell people, I don't care how many pounds you lose. My my passion is watching you keep it off, because my journey began then in a year after I lost the weight, when I was not expecting that scale, when I hit the magic number on the scale and I was not expecting it to go down anymore. That's the day my real journey began. And that's the day I began to change the lives of other people, because that fire in my gut said, Monica, you can't leave now. You did a great thing. 120 pounds. Yay. I reversed my type 2 diabetes. I didn't get a chance to say this when you heard me speak, but I reversed my diabetes. I reversed the high blood pressure. I have a perfect lipid panel for the first time in my life, and I am living again. And so my journey began in 2018 when I went through the maintenance phase. And so it is my prayer today that someone could just grab a little bit of my hope and borrow it for about a year. I always say, if you have 50 pounds to lose, I want you to mark off a year. Please don't be in a hurry. And I tell you that, Laura, don't be in a hurry. Heal body, mind, and spirit. And when you do that, you're not going to go back. So that's my.
I love that. I think it's I have goosebumps right now, because first of all, I need to lose 60. And I know there's many out there that need to lose maybe just 20, and others that need to lose over 120. I know there are, but I love what you talk about. It's that maintenance point. That's really when it begins. After you make the first initial decision, yes, I am going to lose weight. I have to lose weight, and there's no stepping back. But then the other thing is getting there, but then saying, okay, but this is for the rest of my life. It's not going back to the way it was before just because I accomplished my goal. So that maintenance phase, now that you've done it for 7 entire years, is it easy or is it hard?
I'm going to start with a bright, happy thought, and then I might go a little bit dark. The happy thought is my euphoria of losing 120 pounds, going to be able to buy any place in the store, buying any clothes that I wanted, moving from only having one rack of clothes to choose from that's all black to anything I wanted. That euphoria lasted 3 months. So I was okay for 3 months. After the 3 months is when it begins. And it is the hardest thing I've ever done. And yet the easiest thing I've ever done, because I didn't go on a diet. I didn't go through the restriction. I didn't go through any of the so-called marketing, the quick diets. I didn't do that. I learned how to eat, and I learned what foods impact my body. I learned what foods were the healers of the type 2 diabetes. I learned how to get over the metabolic unhealth and the metabolic issues that so many people deal with. So it's the hardest thing I've ever done. And yet, because I trained myself on how to eat, I trained myself on what foods to feed my body as fuel and not poison, I do it now. And so I didn't have any cheat days. I don't believe in cheat days. I don't believe in good foods, bad foods. I don't believe in going off plan, because my other part of my life is I am a food addict. And so I know what will happen if I choose my drug of choice, which is a Martin's donut. I don't know if you have Martin's where you are, but Martin's donuts, Long Johns that was my drug of choice. I know that if Monica Boyer picks up one of those donuts ever again for the rest of my life, I will go on a 30-pound sugar binge. And so the freedom of knowing that, and the freedom of owning the fact that I am a food addict, also helps me keep on plan and on track. Now, that's just a little part of my life and a little part of my client's life. Not everybody's a food addict. And so when you learn to fuel your body with food that gives you the health, when you learn to do that, it's as easy as anything you've ever done.
I think you're absolutely right about that, because there's things that I'm learning on my program right now that I realize I didn't understand before about food, like proteins and good carbs, bad carbs, good, healthy fats, bad fats. And there's all these things. So that it's a real training. You have to gain some knowledge on it, like you said, so that you know the right choices to make. It gives you more empowerment for sure. I love when you did your talk that night. Part of the beautiful thing for all of us was your story, your career before this all happened, before you went through your journey, and the spiritual epiphany that happened alongside the physical losing of the weight. There's something that happened, the spark within you. And if you could share some of that story, I would be so grateful.
Yeah. Our bodies, minds, and spirits are connected. And when one is sick, they share each other's diseases. And when I was severely overweight, it was an outside reflection of what was happening on the inside. And it is my passionate plea for anyone on a weight loss journey to not do it fast. Do not lose weight fast, because your mind has got to heal in sync with your body. So as you're losing weight, I lost my identity as the person that I was before. I think I told you guys I was a politician. I was one of the people that keep the politicians in line. And I was a lobbyist. I was a very, very angry woman. I could take any politician out by the knees. I was trained by the best. You never cry in this man's world that you're working in. And I learned it, and I took it to the full extent. You couldn't make me cry in public. In private, however, I was a mess. And so because I had become an angry woman, and because nobody knows this, I haven't told anybody this, but the media and the press, I deal with the media a lot. And the very man who called me out on my weight, he was the most mean media person ever. He pointed me out and he called me fat. He called me these horrible names. And it was because of him. I got so mad. I'm like, because of you, I'm going to dedicate my weight loss to you. I got to confront him this week in the most loving, kind way. And I told him, he's an Indianapolis guy. And I said, listen, I want you to know you saved my life. Thank you for doing that for me. As horrible as it was, thank you for doing that for me. So that was kind of a fun end cap to my weight loss journey, as well as the Cedar Point trip with my son. That was the massive end cap for me. But I lost my joy. I lost my identity. I always have known Christ. I have always, since I was 3 years old, I've had a relationship with Christ. And I have served him, but I lost my joy along the way, because I had let my body go, I had let my spirit go, and I let my mind go. And through that, and I caution you, Laura, when you're going through your journey, go through all 3 steps, do your body, mind, and spirit, because my joy came back. When I got my new identity, when I found out who Monica was again, I was able to recommit my entire life to God. And I was able to say, okay, I'm a blank slate. Whatever you want to do with me, now that the weight is gone, now that I'm healthy, now that I understand the science behind all this, I'm yours. And that's when my new career started. That's when I sit with women for 8 hours a day. 10% of what I do is calories and macros. 90% of what I do is speak life into women who've lost their identity and who have found themselves in a body that they don't like, a body that they're uncomfortable with, but a body that they're trapped in, and pouring life and giving them a way out. That's why I coach today. That's why I do what I do. And so it changed everything for me. It changed my relationship with Christ. It changed my relationship with my husband. I just released a new podcast about how it changed my marriage. It changes everything, absolutely everything. And my advice to you is go with it. When it changes something, don't think you're broken. Go with it and heal that portion. And don't skip any of those healing. It's like an onion layer. I didn't think that I needed counseling. I thought I'm good. I'm a tough woman. When that layer of that part of your life comes off as you lose the weight, go with it. Get counseling if you need to. Deal with every single layer, because if you skip one, you're going to miss a whole section of what God has for you.
Wow. So you left the world of politics.
Yes, kind of.
Kind of. Well, that's okay. You might still dabble,
I still have opinions,
and that's just great. You have to, right? You have to stand for something, or you stand for nothing at all. So
exactly.
But I think that's absolutely tremendous. And then when you did ask God, was it like a a lightning bolt out of the say, you must be a life coach and a weight loss coach now, or an addiction specialist? Or was it just sort of a subtle inner small voice?
It was step by step. So I remember sitting, there was a time of 6 months. I had lost about 40 to 50 pounds at the time. People could tell, they could tell on the outside something was going on. It wasn't massive yet, but I think I said during my speech that the first thing to go for me was my anxiety and my depression. But for about 6 months, I went through a time of complete silence. I was numb. I didn't feel joy. I didn't feel excitement. I felt no sadness, no anger. I felt nothing for 6 months. And in fact, I went to my pastor and said, hey, am I okay? Because it was scary. And then I remember going to a concert and just being overflowed with joy. And after I left that night, my life changed and I saw the world completely different. I saw women in a different way. I saw them hurting and I saw them hopeless. And I'm like, I have the hope. I just went through this. I just went through the healing process. Is it possible to do this for a living? Is it possible to share my story to change just one woman's life? And now, 6 years later, after a thriving practice, thousands of women have turned their lives around and they're doing things that they would never have imagined that they're doing. I have people, becoming presidents of these organizations, things that they never would have done before they got their new identity. And when I see that, I'm like, this is why I was put on this earth. This is exactly why. I don't want to be anywhere else. But then during my journey, I went through a season where that's when I was diagnosed as a food addict. That happened to me after I lost the weight. I realized that this piece of my practice was missing where people are wrestling with food addiction. And so I took a step deeper. And now I have the opportunity to work with people who are struggling putting the drug down and really wrestling. So it's morphed along the way. That's my whole point. It's morphed along the way of, can I help a woman change her life? Absolutely. Wow, here's where I sit now. And it's just such a privilege and an honor.
That's interesting. And was it a conscious decision to work mostly or only with women? Or are you able to help men on their journey too? Or are the sensibilities different between us?
Yeah, so I do work with men. I actually have a team of coaches that work with me now. It's grown so much. I have a team and I have some coaches whose passion is to work with men. The thing about women and men is men just do the things. There's no emotion involved. They just do the things and they drop the weight and then the women get mad at them. And so men are very, very easy to coach and we have coached hundreds of men. My passion is walking with women through where I walked. I never take a woman where I have not walked. And so that's where I spend the majority of my time is working with women who have lost their identity and feel hopeless. That's where I light up. That's where I'm just like, I am all in, sister. We're getting in the mud together. We're getting in the pit together and we're going to get you out of here no matter what. I'm not leaving one woman behind. And so my passion is women, but yes, we do coach men as well. And they just do the things and they do amazing.
That's incredible. Did you have to go to school for any of this, or is it something that you can become certified in? How is it that it evolves with someone like you? Is it a life coach degree? What is it? Yeah.
So I encourage, in fact, this just happened in January. I went and got my certification for ketogenic living, and that's just whole foods. It's very, very simple, just whole foods. We low carb, whole foods, but I went and got my certification for that. And then I found the missing piece of my practice when I would have women fall off the wagon. I couldn't keep them on the wagon. I'm like, what is missing? That's when I found Bitten Johnson from Switzerland. And she gave me the words, the missing piece to the food addiction part. So I got also certified in food addiction. And a really cool, two cool announcements. Number one, I now own the company that certifies ketogenic coaches. So now I just licensed my 6th coach. And so we're just like, we have to multiply. We have to multiply. If our lives are going to change, we got to give people hope. And then just this last Friday, I got certified with Dr. Mindy Peltz for fasting like a girl. And I'm going to work with women, menopause, perimenopause women who can't get the weight off after menopause, and cycling women who need to eat around their hormones. And so I'm a hormone certified coach as well. So yes, always get the education. Always, always, always. It's a little piece of the practice, but it's a really important piece to get certified. And I'm also a life coach as well.
Oh my goodness, that's incredible. What it's full orbed though, and it sounds like something that anyone would be able to trust, because you've taken in every aspect of the situation for the person, whatever, whether clinical and emotional and all of it that goes into it. And how amazing that you've done that. You are, I'm sure, changing lives every single day and growing. Do people call you and do like Zoom calls with you weekly, bi-weekly, or do they do it over the phone? How is it? Or do they come to your office? How is it that your practice works?
Yeah, I'm online. So I have clients in Israel. I have clients all over the world. I meet with every client weekly. The big portion of my program is the accountability. It's knowing that you have to meet with Coach Monica. You have to meet with Coach Darcy every week. You've got to be accountable. I have my own app so I can see what they're eating. We give feedback every day, and they have contact with their coach every day. But the even greater thing is the group aspect. If you've heard of Alcoholics Anonymous and Overeaters Anonymous, those successes lie within groups. And so we also have a group that everyone is just filtered into. When they come to us as a client, we meet with them one-on-one, but then we put them into a group, and the group is it's like the cherry on top of everything. It's beautiful. So the accountability, I wondered, would people ever pay me to do some coaching? And I'm like, you can find how to do this on the internet for free. Why would people want to coach? Heard this story one time of a man who fell into a pit and he couldn't get out. And up above the pit, he saw a doctor walk by, and the doctor threw some pills down at him and said, here you go, try these. It didn't work. The pills didn't work to get him out. There was a librarian that walked by, and he threw a book down and he said, try to read your way out of this pit. And nothing worked. A psychologist walked by and wanted to talk about his family history and how do you feel about this? Well, this other guy walked by, jumped in the pit with him, and he said, well, what did you do that for, man? Now we're both stuck down here, and now we both can't get out. And this guy looked at him and said, no, I've been where you are. I know how to get out. Grab my hand and let's go. It was that moment when I read that story that I'm like, that's why I coach. I get in the pit. I mean, we go through uglies together. 8 hours a day, we go through uglies, marriage issues, all of these things. I know the way out. Grab my hand and get out with me. That's what made me say, yes, I want to do this the rest of my life.
Oh my gosh, it's so moving. I have chills over my whole body. It's so authentic. And I think it's that authenticity that is, I mean, I can't imagine anyone not being able to accomplish their goals and their dreams with you, and the ability to work with someone like you with such hope. Is there spirituality that takes part of your process and your coaching?
Yes, I disclose to every client that comes to me that I'm a woman of faith. You're not going to hear me preaching at you, but you are, number one, going to be prayed for. So before I meet with every client, I pray that God gives me the wisdom, because I need different kinds of wisdom for every call. It's not about calories. Calories you can find out how to do on the internet, right? It's about their real life. And so I pray for them before every session, but also I teach them that they can't do this without a spiritual aspect to it. I could not have done this without, I did a lot of hard work, and Laura, you're doing a lot of hard work with what you're doing. However, I couldn't have done it alone. And I wholeheartedly believe that I was healed. There's a part of me that knows, yeah, you worked hard, but I am also thankful that God healed my body, because he did. And that in and of itself gives me the joy. It gives me the courage to speak into the lives of these women each and every day. I couldn't have done it without my faith. And it's funny, even with Overeaters Anonymous, we go over that in my addiction treatment center. We go over the 12 steps. That's what we do. Even in those, for a secular organization, there's a spiritual aspect to that. And so it's woven throughout. You can't do one without the other.
I wholeheartedly agree with that. And I have seen where when one of those aspects is not being met, whether it's the spiritual side or the nutritional side or the emotional side, you're right. It's like I have a very dear friend, Dr. Douglas Howard. He is the founder of Balance of Nature, which I take, which is fruits and veggies in a capsule. And he is a physician, a doctor of chiropractic, all these different things. But he always talks about the triad of health, which is nutritional, spiritual, and emotional. And he talks about how all three of them have to be working. He said exactly your same words. You see, those are truths. That's wisdom. And that's why people, when they come to you, they're getting the full orbed healing. It's not just a successful diet.
Right.
They're getting healing from the inside out, it sounds like. And having you be the purveyor of this, having gone through it yourself, you're living proof. So that right there is the credibility is just off the charts. And so people, the hope must be just inbred. And that when they see you and they start working with you, I think it's incredible. I love that you work with women all around the world, because it is a world problem. It's not just an American problem, although it is quite prevalent here in the United States. I grew up overseas, and it wasn't quite the same in Brazil as it is here. It's just different, or in Japan, or, Australia and things like that. So there's something here, but I love that you can work with anybody and will work with anybody. How can people do you take new clients, or are you just too full and too busy?
I do take new clients. We have a whole team of coaches, and I do take new clients every day. They can find me on my website, kmhealthcoaching.org. And I'm on all the social media platforms, and I do a lot of coaching on my social media. So that's probably the quickest way to find me. But yeah, they can find me. I do take new clients, and I'm getting ready to launch my hormone program here within a month. Where we're going to work with women based on their cycles and eating around their cycle. Do you need more carbs during different times of your cycle? And we've been fighting that for so long. And so now we're giving the women the tools that they have in their own hands to go to the doctor and say, hey, I healed my body with what I put in my mouth. So yeah, we have lots of opportunities here. My big program is my 3-month. If I can have a client for 3 months, I can get you through the ugly. The honeymoon phase is 8 weeks, right? You feel great at 8 weeks. You feel incredible. The weight's coming off. However, in about 2 months, life happens. You are asked to go on a date. What do you eat at Olive Garden? What do you do here? Or, your kids, you're an empty nester. Your world has just crashed. So when I have a client for 3 months, I can walk them through the ugly. And that's what I like to do. But most clients stay with me about a year because they want the maintenance. They want the whole package.
Yes.
So yeah.
I think it's so inspiring. And once again, you said your website is KM Health.
KMHealthCoaching.org.
KMHealthCoaching.org.
I used to be Keto Mom Coaching. That's where a lot of people know me, but men were like, Monica, that sounds like feminine. Do you coach men? And so we kind of rebranded and went to a more neutral color because of our guys, but they could find me on either side of that.
Okay, so kmhealthcoaching.org. You can find her, and then also find your video. You have a podcast now as well, Monica Boyer, correct?
I do. That has been a crazy adventure. We talk reality. So there's the nice politically correct weight loss talk. And then there's Monica Boyer's talk of, okay, no, here's what really happened to my body. Here's what happened when I had my skin removed. This is what happens in your marriage. This is what happens when you need counseling. So we talk about everything on that show. And today we were in the studio today. We did a whole series on women's cycles. What happens to your body when you're cycling? What happens to your body in menopause? Why are you gaining weight during menopause? So that was what we did today. And so, yeah.
Hey, it's the whole kit and caboodle, as they say.
That's
What
right.
is the name of your podcast?
It's called Beyond the Scale, Weight Loss and Wellness. So we launch a new podcast every Tuesday morning.
Every Tuesday morning, Beyond the Scale.
Mm-hmm. Weight Loss and Wellness.
Weight Loss and Wellness. Monica Boyer is her name. I hope anyone listening right now, and I actually know there's no way no one cannot be inspired by this incredible woman's words and your ability to take us in with you and feel like you're not alone in the process. I think that's another crucial thing, because like you said, there was a moment in time when you felt numb and you couldn't feel anything. And having someone like you to start with, go through the middle with, and keep going with is probably the greatest thing in the world. Monica Boyer, thank you so very much for all you are doing for everyone with your beautiful life and your beautiful heart and all your knowledge. Thank you. And I hope everyone listening will reach out and try to at least see all your different offerings on social media, your podcast, and maybe even find you if they are in need of a wonderful weight loss coach. Thank you so much for joining us today on the way home.
It is my pleasure. Thank you so much, Laura.
Welcome back. You're listening to The Way Home with Laura Smith. Here's Laura.
Well, one part of this show that I absolutely love is where we get to have people on who give great tips for living. Just people who have the latest and greatest ideas and products that can help us. And right now, you see, I live on the river here in northern Indiana, and almost every time I am ready to settle down and relax outside on the deck to look at the sun go down, it feels like every mosquito on the planet said, hey, let's go to Laura's house. And that's what happens to me. And my little relaxation time is then moved indoors, and I never get to quite enjoy it. So I have someone here today that is going to help us with a new product that with an old brand that you probably are very aware of. Joanna Garcia Swisher, she is an expert, a lifestyle expert, and a spokesperson, an actor, and so many other things. Joanna, thank you for coming on to talk about OFF. I haven't heard about OFF in a long time.
Thanks for having me. OFF has been around. I mean, I think for many people, OFF has been a part of our lives. You know, for me, since I was a kid, OFF brand has been the solution. But one of the products that I am so excited to talk about is their Clean Feel insect repellent line. It has been something that has been a game changer for our family. And when OFF brand came to me and said, we want to reclaim the golden hour. We want to help you reclaim the golden hour. Would you like to talk about it? And I said, absolutely. Because for me, it's all about enjoying those beautiful moments in life. And the idea, the sad part is that not only do mosquitoes and all of these pesky biting insects and ticks, they don't just alter the way that we can enjoy it. They literally shut it down. I mean, you almost can't even tolerate it. So I'm so thankful to have a product that I feel really good about, that my family can use, but it's also just incredibly effective.
So OFF back in the day, it was there when I was a kid too, and I'm probably twice your age. So it really has been the legacy brand that people turn to. But this new one is called Clean Feel. Now, I think I understand immediately what that means, because there was, you spray the OFF on you. I'm talking decades ago, and, you'd feel a little sticky or whatever. But that was just what you put up with in order so that you could go out and play. But like you said, the sundown hours, the golden hour, as you call it, which is perfect. I'm not so sure I would be so willing to sit with that stickiness now as I did with a kid. So tell me about how it feels when you spray it on.
The Clean Feel products just feel really good on your skin. You don't feel like you have that sticky layer. We love it. We love the aerosol formula. They also have a pump spray formula, and they just introduced a clear gel formula that's really, really nice too. And, it's safe for our family. And it just simply works. So not only does it feel good on your skin, and the other thing is that, mosquitoes do love the golden hour, but depending on where you are, you could suffer from mosquitoes and biting insects or ticks all day long. So reapplying after 8 hours, you don't feel like you're adding another like big sticky layer to your body. So it's really nice. It's something that I feel like it's incredibly user friendly, but also really, really, really effective.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a niece who for some reason we would all be sitting outside, and even when it wasn't mosquito season yet, she would be just ravaged by mosquito bites. For some reason, they were attracted to her, and they were like welts all over her. And we were sitting there and we didn't have any. But there are some people who actually, I think, attract them. I don't know if it's whatever their skin or something. So somebody like her, she needs to wear it. She would need to wear it like all day long, I think, because some people just have that issue. So in addition to it being non-sticky feeling, is it safe as well?
Yes, you can go to off.com to learn all about the active ingredients in all of Off-Brand's products. But we love that the Clean Feel products it is a substitute for DEET, and it's an active ingredient called picaridin. And it's EPA approved and been proven safe to be used on children. And so it's something that I feel really good about for our family to use. We want to know that we're being protected. And so for us and our family, after doing our research, the Clean Feel products, the fact that they feel so good on your skin was just a bonus, but we knew that the active ingredients that were in the product were safe for our family.
That's wonderful. Is Off Clean Feel, is it available in supermarkets or anywhere, or is there a special place to get it?
To the best of my knowledge, you can get Off-Brand, Off Clean Feel products where you can find your local, where you can find your Off-Brand products in your local area. But if you go to their website, off.com, not only can you learn about the Clean Feel products, all of the products that Off-Brand has to offer, you can find out where you can buy it as well. And you can also, one of my favorite tools on off.com is there is a mosquito caster. So if you are going on a trip or you want to know what you're up against in your local area, or say you have a picnic to go to, or you're going to be outside a little bit more than normal, you can put your zip code in and you can learn about just like you get a weather forecast, you can get a mosquito forecast. You can really know what you're up against in your area.
Wow, that's really incredible. Who knew?
I know, I really like that tool. I love talking about it because it's a good one.
Absolutely. So it's off.com. Is it off with an exclamation point, or is it just the word off?
It's OFF.com.
OFF.com. Well, you can't get any easier than that. And thank you, because Joanna, I think you really have just saved my summer, and it's still early enough where I can enjoy those golden hours now with Off Clean Feel. I'm really excited about that. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much. It was great talking to you. Have a wonderful summer. I hope you get to enjoy tons of sunsets on your deck and looking out over the river. It sounds heavenly.
Oh, I thank you so much for that. Joanna Garcia, Swisher, lifestyle expert, Off spokesperson, and an actor. Thank you so much. You're listening to The Way Home. We'll be right back.
Hi, here's a minute of purpose, improving your life 60 seconds at a time. Walking is one of the best and easiest things you can do for your health. It reduces stress, lowers blood pressure, and does much more. But admit it can get a little boring. So here are some fun ways to kick it up a notch. There are great apps like News in Slow French or Coffee Break Chinese that will help you learn a new language. GreatCoursesPlus.com features top shelf lectures about things like opera or history. BrainHQ.com has lots of fun games to try on your walk so you'll get smarter and healthier. You can make your walk more fun by adopting a dog. Temporarily, senior centers can hook you up with an older person who might not be able to give their pooch the exercise it needs. So next time you step out, bring along one of these fun partners and get more from your daily walk. This has been your Minute of Purpose. Find more now at nowwithpurpose.com.
Welcome back. You're listening to The Way Home with Laura Smith. Here's Laura.
That was fun. I really enjoyed the wonderful guest today, and I am just even more committed to this weight loss journey that I am on, but knowing that it's also going to be an inner journey as well. It's not just going to be weight loss. It's going to be so much more that I'm gaining thanks to Monica Boyer's wonderful information today. And my PhD weight loss program that I am on, it's all working and I'm so excited. But this is the point in the story, whereas if we haven't had enough good news, Jim Clefield steps in, our guru of good news, and he finds stories out there on the interweb before anybody else does. There's other people who do good news stories. I want to say some of them are quite famous, but you know what? I always feel like you get them first. So let's give something for everyone to go out into their work week with and just feel inspired.
Well, that's our buzzword on the show, isn't it? Inspired. That's right, LJ. You certainly got that right. I want to start this first story out in Boca Raton, Florida. Not too long ago, there was a dramatic rescue of a teen who was struggling in the waters. Don't know how he got there, but there was this strong rip current, and he was in real trouble. I mean, he was in a lot of danger. Well, fortunately, this is one of those stories, the right place at the right time, if you will, how his life was saved. Well, there was a gentleman named Seth Stern who happened to be on an inlet in Boca Raton, not far from the water. He was filming some boats for work when he got the distress call from the teen. The teen was flailing and yelling for help. He was in trouble because I watched one of those weather channels. You know what they say when you're stuck in a rip current, you have to swim to the side, sideways. Well, Seth, had tried to reach out to the kid and ask him, can you do that? And he said, no, I have absolutely no energy whatsoever. So you know what he did? Instinct said, okay, I got to get some help here. He reached out, called for some lifeguards, and there were a couple of other Good Samaritans that just happened to be in the area, and they were able to go into the water. Video footage was showing that Seth was walking the rocks before he managed to dive into the water to rescue the kid along with his friends. They were able to get him to shore. He was safe and sound. He survived it. And the thing is this, because Seth, interestingly, unlike the lifeguards, he has no lifeguard training whatsoever. He said, it's one of these things where my parental instincts took over. I would have done what any parent would have done in this situation with their kid. Get into the water, get in there and save the kid's life. And with this team behind him, these lifeguards and these Samaritans, they were able to save the teen. And again, very thankful, I'm sure, that young teen is that this happened.
They sound like they were guardian angels. They were lifeguards, yes, but yes, guardian angels, too.
Some lifeguards and some Good Samaritans, some standbyers, but yes, but they all pitched in together. I mean, and because Seth was saying, it's a good thing we were there. Can you imagine what would have happened if we weren't there? He might not have survived.
Right. And what amazes me? It's that people know that they're about ready to do something that could even potentially take their lives, but something else kicks in. And it's this adrenaline and it's this conviction that they'll do whatever they need to do to save someone's life.
Whatever it takes.
That's really a beautiful thing. That is the greatest part of a human being. We all have it in us somewhere. And sometimes, like you said, right place, right time. But I never think that that's a coincidence. Nope. I believe that's the hand of God in situations like that. So love that. Thanks, Jim. What else? Do you have another story?
I certainly do. And this is the story of a police officer. I know we talked about many times on the show in this segment about police officers, that they do more protect and serve, that they do make a good difference in community. They do a lot of good. They really, really do. Well, here's an example of somebody. There's an officer named Michael Pointer, and this is in Memphis, Tennessee, by the way. He met a 10-year-old kid, Kamari Brooks. Very, very nice kid. He was working at a community center one day, and then he had another encounter with the same 10-year-old. And he was in his, he likes to play football, by the way. He's been playing, I guess, pee-wee football or grade-level football for 3 years now, 10 years old. Anyway, he noticed his uniform, and he did not have a pair of cleats like his teammates. Kamari was saying, they have a pair of cleats, but I don't. So you know what this nice officer did, Officer Pointer? He decided, I'm going to go and get this kid a nice pair of new cleats and some socks to complete his uniform. So you know what he did? He went out and got the cleats and took the cleats and the socks to this kid's home. His mom, Carissa, was just so blown away by the generosity of this officer, because you say, this really, it just shows you again that, and again, she's a single mom, by the way, his mom, Carissa. The fact that, that he goes out and does this wonderful act of kindness, this random act, to make it better for this kid. So not only does this kid have this equipment, but the fact he made this impact on an entire community just by this one random act of kindness. And good for him. And I'm sure this kid's very happy to have the equipment he needs to pursue that dream of playing football. Maybe he'll play in college. Maybe he'll be in the NFL someday. But this officer, it really is making this happen.
That is so sweet. It's so kind. It was like the other gentleman, Seth, who dove in the water. He said his parental instincts kicked in. Well, for this officer, it sounds like the same thing for him. It wasn't his child, but it might as well have been, because he just saw a need. And he, he wanted to fulfill it. What a beautiful thing. You see,
maybe he won't meet that child later on.
Yeah.
In not so good circumstances because of the sense of support from the police officer.
That's right. Absolutely. Can you imagine just that moment of kindness that just, he'll never be able to say, the police are bad because he had firsthand encounter.
That's his first impression, probably, right? Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. Lots of love to everybody listening to the program today. I hope that you have a safe week. I hope that it's a little bit cooler next week. It's been quite brutal lately, but nothing but love and cool air from The Way Home with Laura Smith, because we just want to wish you nothing but a very healthy, safe, and productive week. We'll see you next time on The Way Home. Lots of love.
Podcasts by Federated Media.